Good afternoon and hello, everyone. Welcome to Toronto B2B Marketing Community's first webinar. We're so excited to have you here with us on this LinkedIn Live for GTM Beyond Borders Masterclass on go-to-market out of and into North America. This session is actually a special rerun of the Masterclass we hosted last month at our in-person event here in Toronto at the Well at the Sweat and Tonic venue. The feedback was incredible, and so we knew we had to bring it back for those of you who couldn't make it, and to share it with the rest of Canada, the U.S., and even beyond for those that could make it here today with from abroad. For those of you new to the Toronto B2B marketing community, we're a network dedicated to helping marketers and business leaders connect, share insights, and grow their businesses both locally and globally. We're thrilled to have Chris Thome with us today, the head of global product marketing at Uberall, leading today's masterclass. Chris is an expert in go-to-market strategies and has successfully guided cross-border expansions into and out of Canada, the US, Europe, and elsewhere. Today, she'll share actionable insights and real-world strategies to help you tackle your own cross-border growth challenges. Here's what to expect. Chris will deliver her presentation for about 45 minutes. Then we'll move into a live Q&A where we'll feature your questions on screen for Chris to answer. So if you have a question or a comment, just drop it in the comments tab on the right side of the LinkedIn Live console, and we'll make sure to queue it up for the Q&A. Don't forget to check out the networking tab as well, where you can connect with other attendees or with us during the session. We're very glad for you to be here for this very milestone event, and let's get started. So welcome to the stage, Chris, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, David. It is a pleasure to be here on my second event for the B2B marketing community. As David mentioned, we had a great success with this topic live in an event in Toronto, so we decided to take this to a webinar. So I'm super excited to share my learnings with you guys. Just before I started, I want to do a quick intro. So I am currently the global head of product marketing for Uberall, which is a multi-location marketing company. And also I am a product marketing alliance ambassador. And today's lesson, it is, as David mentioned, all about go-to-market beyond borders, some real practical tips, advices on expanding into and outside of North America. So if you're an American company expanding to Europe or to Canada, or if you're a Canadian company expanding to US or to Europe, or if you are a European company like Uberall expanding into North America, this is going to be really useful for you. Just before we started, all these lessons and tips I got from my 7 years of experience in B2B SaaS, in the tech world, in SaaS world. So I started at Hootsuite in MarTech. We expanded from Canada to US and Europe. Then I had an experience with a Canadian startup in the HR tech industry. And we expanded from Canada to US, UK, and Australia. And now at Uberall, it's an European company based in Germany. We are expanding from Europe to US and Canada. So that's how I've been earning all this experience on GTM Beyond Borders. And this is what you will get from today's masterclass. So I'm going to go through my lessons learned on positioning and messaging, how to turn data privacy laws, which are very strong in Europe as well as in Canada, how to turn that into opportunities. I'm going through some tips on localization and translation. I'm going to talk to you guys about the advantage of actually being the underdog when you're going and expanding, going abroad. I'm going to talk to you guys about some digital savviness gap that I noticed across regions, and also some differences in incentivizing customers across regions for research. So without further ado, let's go through the first topic, positioning and messaging. So the first one I want to open by saying compelling messaging is king. Not messaging, but compelling one. And you're going to understand why I'm reinforcing and bringing up the compelling aspect of messaging. So given this is a B2B community, I decided to open with this topic, which I have seen a lot of discussions on LinkedIn about, and on events as well. A lot of marketers talking about how B2B messaging became so fluffy. And this is a great LinkedIn message from Robert. If you don't follow him, he posts some great posts around positioning and messaging and website, and I loved this one. He says the actual ad on the left side, where you can see it's about a sneaker. So you put all the features and the capabilities and the benefits. You describe the value and you describe the benefits as well. But if this is a B2B marketer writing and doing messaging, it would be go anywhere, do anything. It became super high level, super fluffy, very jargony. And this is something for us as B2B marketers to reflect on. So that is something I love to open with this, for us to have this at the back of our minds. What I noticed when expanding into Europe is that you cannot actually lead your messaging with fluffy, with jargon. The more jargon, the more fluffy, the less effective it is. In fact, you actually have to back up your messaging with lots of facts and stats when going to market in Europe. So not only you back up your messages with facts and stats, but be prepared to discuss the rationale, the methodology, how you calculate those numbers. And I'm going to show you guys an example. Be very careful with smoke mirrors promises and going to market promising a launch with something that doesn't exist and it's not going to exist in 6 months or in a year, because it is perceived as super vague, super fluffy, not grounded in something real, and it just turn people away in Europe. Have to remember that the dark region, German, Australia, Switzerland, they have a very engineer mindset, so very logical, very factual based, very like lots of stats to back up what you're saying. So this is an example from overall. When we have our messaging on our pitch deck, for example, we say, meet Uberall. We are the most efficient and comprehensive location marketing platform. This is what we deliver: top visibility and high conversion. Whatever the messaging is, whatever you're promising, whatever you're saying, you are the easiest, the faster, the most comprehensive, the most user-friendly, you need to back up right away, right at the beginning, right close to your messaging, the closer, the better, with some data points. So we have on the left side our messaging, and then right on the right side, we have some 3 stats on the things that we are promising, right? Like we came up with data points on how much more efficient we are, or how much more clicks you get, or how much more views you would get. This helps, again, to give credibility to your messaging. Another example is, if you want to say, well, you have the quickest time to value with Uberall or whatever the brand is, we have to prove that. So we came up with this slide, which is part of our pitch deck and became quite popular. We have data points and stats 3 months after joining Uberall. What is the lift that you can get? What type of increase you can get? You choose the KPIs the business objectives that your target audience care about. You choose those ones and you try to put on your pitch deck, close to your messaging, again, to back up, to give you credibility, to validate your messaging. In our case, we put together 3 months after the impact, and then even further, like more impact that you can get after staying with Uberall for a full 12 months in a 1-year plan with us. So all this, again, the goal here is to back up what you're saying. Another way that you can back up your messaging and give you credibility on your pitch deck, on your website, is proof of value. So use logos that you have in the region that you're trying to expand to. Even if it's one customer in that region, try to get customers that are popular in the region that you dominate, that are popular there, even though if they don't exist there yet, but they're known. Try to get as many common popular logos as you can. But not only the logos, try to add some ROI, some increments, some value that your customers got after doing business with you. So that's what we did with this slide for Uberall, and our pitch deck is the second most popular slide. The most popular one is the graph that I just showed with the quickest time to value, and this is the second one. Now, what I shared with you guys was going to Europe. The other way around, if you're expanding into North America, you have a different type of challenge, which is the fight for the buyer attention. The North America market is so competitive that it's super hard to actually get your buyer attention in seconds to pay attention to your messaging. So I am using here a LinkedIn message from Mike Berger that I really love it. He's talking about, again, that the number of messagings that buyers are facing is far more like it's far bigger. It's not reasonable than what people can actually take and process and pay attention. So he showed this graph here, which is really interesting. It shows the buyer attention, available buyer attention since 2010 in the past 14 years. So it starts very high in 2010, and now we are in 2024. The buyer attention is significantly lower. And at the same time, the importance of the product marketing function, which has positioning and messaging as a key core discipline under product marketing, has increased significantly, right? If you are a company, if you're trying to get attention from buyers, you really need to invest in positioning and messaging. And that's why product marketing is a hot topic right now. So in expanding into North America, the compelling messaging is critical. Even before we talk about data points and stats, it's just to get people to look at your messaging, open your email, respond to you on LinkedIn, and just interact with your brand. In my case, in particularly, when I work for Hootsuite and now with Uberall, we are in the marketing technology, the MarTech landscape. And just to give you guys an idea of how much this industry grew in the past 13 years. In 2011, there were about 150 vendors, marketing technology companies. Now we have 14,000, right? So it's a significant increase. And what we are trying to do is we're trying to reach the same buyers, marketers in that case. And as marketers, we know we receive a lot of outbound calls, emails, reach on LinkedIn. If you don't have a compelling messaging, something unique and different to say, people just delete your messaging. This is a very interesting map. I love to see, and I see every year from MarTech Map, the marketing technology landscape This includes all the marketing technology companies for marketers. It can be email marketing, can be CRM, it can be location marketing, can be social media. The point is that there's so many that it doesn't fit on a slide. You can barely see. I marked here in red the social media category where Hootsuite belongs to, and it was quite competitive. And I marked here in purple the location marketing category where Uberall is. And you see how many other categories are out there and how many competitors are out there. And we're all trying to reach marketers in that example of marketing technology. So how do you go about it? What is the answer for that? The answer is, as I was mentioning, compelling messaging, which means differentiated, value-driven messaging. You need to craft a message that differentiates yourself from your competitors. You cannot just do the same jargon, the same fluffiness that doesn't feel real and doesn't differentiate you. So you have to find your unique capabilities. You have to go through a positioning exercise, find your messaging, and have something that it really differentiates you, and it's also very creative. So a tip, a suggestion I put here for you guys. I have been reading this book called Make It Punchy from Emma Stratton, and she has a very interesting model of, she calls VBF, which is value, benefits, and feature. It's basically you start from the value, you start from the outside. So you're not supposed to be jargony and fluffy, and you're also not supposed to be leading with features. You're supposed to be leading with value, and then the benefits, and then the feature. And then it's just an example here. For example, resolve issues before customers notice. If you are a company who is providing kind of a dashboard for the customer support team, this is the kind of messaging you would use. Stop problems before they start by monitoring your entire stack's performance in one dashboard. The dashboard is the feature, but it takes a backstage. It's the last thing that you mention. In a model where we see a lot where we talk about the feature first, it would read like this: intuitive dashboard. Our dashboard provides visibility into your entire stack's performance, so you can resolve issues before customers notice. So you start with the feature and you put the value at the end. So what Emma is suggesting, and what I have tested and have worked, is that you start with the value for your customers. That's how you grab their attention. And then, by the way, this is the feature that it's enabling you to get to the value. Hope this makes sense to you guys. Hope this was a good overview of how you have to change and adapt your messaging going to Europe or North America. So I'm moving to our second topic and keeping an eye here on the time. Next topic is how you turn data privacy protection and regulations, which is so strong in Europe as well as in Canada, into go-to-market opportunities. So high-level overview of the data protection laws that exist by region. So in the European Union, we have the very famous, very popular, the very first regulation around the data privacy protection, GDPR. That's the longest, again, the most compelling one, the most probably known. The UK has a very similar one. It's just the UK version, the UK GDPR. Canada also has a Data Privacy Regulation Act, which is very similar to the European Union. And in United States, this is not, it's not at a federal level. Some states have their own act and their own Data Privacy Act, their own laws, but it's still very minor. So we have here California and Colorado, basically. So if an American company is thinking about expanding into Europe or to Canada, it's strongly recommended that you get familiar with the data privacy laws that exist in the market that you're going to enter. And then more than that, how you turn that into an opportunity, which I'm going to show you guys an example. And for Canada, I would say, if you're a Canadian company trying to expand into Europe, you should really highlight that you have data privacy laws and acts and regulations in Canada that are quite similar to Europe. In that sense, Canada is closer to the European Union than to US. This is something that I noticed that customers, prospects, they really want to understand. How do you take data privacy protection into consideration? What do you have on your company to protect consumer data? So an example here is, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read. This is the book Sales Speech from April Dunford. I strongly recommend it everyone to read. She goes through a framework on positioning for a pitch deck. And I want to just call attention, the last step of her framework is about how to handle objections. Your prospect has a lot of things going into their mind. I'm not sure if I am buying into this, what this company is pitching to me. I'm concerned about data privacy laws. I'm concerned about customer support. I'm concerned about pricing. So what April recommends is that you leave to the last step, but you address some of the most common objections in the market that you're going into. So for us at Uberall, we know the European market is super sensitive to data privacy laws. So we address on our last slide something that we position as good to know. It's good to know a few things about us, just to reduce any anxiety from your prospect and address right away. And we have here GDPR and the Digital Market Act, which is another act like in Europe. We address how our solutions are fully compliant, and we are at this point we are able to talk about it, talk about how our solutions are compliant right on our pitch deck. So it has to be there. Another example is if you have a presentation, if you're positioning your solution on an event, on your website, on social, it's always important if you have the key benefits. If we always mention fully GDPR and GMA compliant, because in this case here, this example, this solution deals directly with customer data. So your solution, especially if your solution is touching and handling customer data, you should address data privacy laws on your pitch deck, on your website, every time you present your solution. We also noticed that European customers wanted to be educated about it, and they want to learn, the companies want to learn how they can actually deal with the data privacy laws with their customers. So we are taking this opportunity, again, on our pitch decks, on our blogs, on our social media, on events. We educate our B2B customers on how to take advantage of DMA, Digital Marketing Act regulations. So we teach them how you actually can turn that into an opportunity for you, Mr. Customer. And we have written several blog articles about regulations, and in a way that it's catchy, that it's interesting, that it's fun to read. So it's not a heavy topic, but it's actually for marketers to learn, educate themselves, and understand that this can actually be an opportunity. So the third topic, the third out of the 6, is go global with a strong local presence. So I'm going to address here 10 learnings that I had related to localization and translation. So first 2, build advocates in your key markets. You need local logos, right? It's very important if you have a strong presence, if you want to go into a market, that as soon as you start to have some customers there, 5, 10, that you ask permission to have a case study or to use their logos so you can expand, right, and scale in the market. So as soon as you have a few customers, hopefully you build rapport, you build trust, and you have some advocates in the new region, in the new market, that they can allow you to use their logos. Localize your pitch deck. So use your pitch deck per market on your key markets, and then you adapt, localize logos and case studies. Choose, I would say, top 2 or 3, depending on your budget, markets and languages to focus on. For us, for overall besides English, we have German and French. We cannot tackle all the languages in all the markets that we operate. So even though we are present in other markets in Europe, we chose 2. And those 2, we do everything. We do local events, we translate our product roadmap, we translate our pitch deck, we translate product launch. So we are committed to these 2 languages beyond English. If you ask customers for language preference for communications, you should honor it. I have seen many companies that ask for that preferred language, but they actually ended up sending everything in English. So you better not ask if you cannot commit and deliver. If you can offer different languages in the product, but not on marketing communication, sometimes this happens. So for example, for overall, we have our platform supports 13 languages in the product. But outside of the product, on our collaterals, on our go-to-market, we support 3 languages only. And we make this very clear when we invite people from webinars, when we send our emails, we always mention the languages that we support. Customer interviews, if you're actually doing an interview, collecting qualitative feedback, the more local, if you have someone that can do in local language, that's the best alternative. Otherwise, you have to make it clear if you're inviting a customer for an interview that the interview will be in English to see if they're comfortable with that. Quanti survey, when you send actually a survey and ask people to answer and you're just collecting aggregated data, then sending that quanti survey in English is fine. People are not talking live with you. They're taking that time, they're reading, and normally is much more acceptable and you get a great response. If translations are done with AI, sometimes we do for our webinars, we call that out. You call that out upfront on your blog, on your webinar, anything that you have, product descriptions, or we write technical descriptions, we call out that our translations are, we leverage AI. If you're thinking about expanding to Canada, if you're a European company or North America company expanding to Canada, you have to consider Quebec and don't really treat Quebec as the rest of Canada. So you should be thinking about how do I go to market in Canada and have French assets, all my French communications, if you're including Quebec. And the other way around, if you are a Canadian company expanding into Europe, it's not that straightforward to use French Quebecois and be acceptable in France. If it's a pure translation, sure. But if you're talking about localization, tone of voice, sound very local, if you have a funny tone of voice, if you use slangs, if you're more informal, that translation from Quebec, French Quebecois to French from France can be really lost in communications in that translation. Not ideal. I had many problems with that. Now, if you're expanding from North America to Europe and you have 2 sales motions, right? You have sales-led and you have product-led, 2 go-to-marketing motions, sales-led and product-led. I want to share an example from Hootsuite. So Hootsuite had a whole sales-led motion, And for the sales led for enterprise, we decided to go with local logos, case studies, really saying we are proud to be in Europe, from Canada to Europe. We localize a lot of our events. We had local teams. We invest a lot on our assets and how we went to market in Europe. Webinars, social, our website. Again, we chose 2 or 3 languages and went really deep down there. Now, if you have a product-led motion, if you have a self-serve product, in the case of Hootsuite, we had both. For the self-serve motion, which is more reaching for the masses, we actually took a very different approach. We assumed that social media marketers, which was our target audience, had the same challenge across the world. So less need of localization and understanding our persona across the globe. We just, for simplicity, for scalability purposes, we assumed they all had the same type of problems. We always assume we are in a B2B environment. I'm sure they all know English. All communications were in English except for paid ads and blogs. Research and customers interviews, we prioritize English-speaking countries. So our feedback ended up being a bit biased because we were mostly hearing and getting feedback from English-speaking countries. And then the result is that we had higher customer support issues and higher churn in non-English speaking countries. But this was by design, this was intentional. It was still worth it from a go-to-market perspective, because again, we had a product that was a self-serve product. You put your credit card online. It was more of a mass product. So it really depends on your go-to-market motion, how personalized, how much localization you want, how serious you are about 1, 2, or 3 specific markets, and do the ROI and see if it's worth the effort, because it definitely requires effort from the marketing team to be localizing and translating all of that, all your go-to-market assets. Moving on to the 4th topic here. This is a new one. I want to say go-to-market advantage by being the underdog. So if you are going to a market where your company has a disadvantage, your competitors have a strong brand awareness in the new market, they have more budget, they dominate the market with the clients there, you are playing the underdog advantage. And we have done this quite well at Certain when we were expanding from Canada into US. So all our competitors, we have like lots of competitors in US. There was a lot of big events that we felt we need to be present. Our competitors were there with massive booths. And at some point we were like, hang on a second, it's going to cost us a ton of money. And nobody knows our brand in US. So instead of actually spending the money, spending the budget and doing exactly what our competitors were doing, we decided to invite some of our prospects, a few of them, a handful of them, to a very nice dinner with a very nice venue where we show our product roadmap. We have some of the executives present there in this dinner, and we build a rapport with a few prospects, 10, 15 prospects that we really wanted to reach. If we were investing and trying to get to these 10 prospects in an event, we wouldn't be able to. Super hard to get their attention on an event. The booths of our competitors were much bigger. They had much more budget. So we decided to take a completely different approach. We decided to be present in that city that the event was happening, but actually attend the event, just attend the event, no booth, no sponsorship, but actually inviting people for a dinner after the event, and it worked quite well. Another suggestion here, lesson learned, is if, again, your prospects are with your biggest competitor and they are really dominating strong brand awareness, reaching out to them has a specific timing. Timing is critical. The right moment to reach out to a prospect is before the renewal with your competitor. So my suggestion here is map your prospects, understand who they're doing business with, understand the renewal time, and try to build the relationship, build the rapport before the renewal time. By the time they are renewing with your competitor, they may open an RFP, they may consider you, and you have been talking to them 3-4 months before their renewal, and you prepare for their renewal conversation. So you play your strengths against those competitors' weakness, right? As you're talking to customers, to your prospects, you're asking them how happy you are. Are you fully happy, or do you have some concerns? And if you find prospects that are unhappy with your competitor in things, in topics, in areas, in capabilities that actually are your strength, you found the right sweet spot. These are the type of prospects that is worth investing, that you have a higher chance to win over during the renewal. So this is playing the underdog advantage. The fifth topic that I want to bring it out is some gaps that I notice in different continents, different regions, in regards to digital savviness. So in Europe, from my experience, the tech buyers, from a MarTech perspective, it can be different in other industries, but they are less savvy than in North America. Probably because of the significant number of competitors and companies that exist in technology in North America. So your go-to-market when you're expanding to Europe, it probably will need a higher focus on educating your buyers on why they need your platform. And then they normally appreciate a lot of assistance, support, guidance, and strategic advice. In US and Canada, I noticed something different. I noticed that they are sometimes most familiar with a social media platform or a location marketing platform. They are already using one of the competitors. And they don't want lots of education. They just want do it yourself. They prefer not to have calls. So it's less about that personal relationship and hand holding. And it's much more about, I can take a look myself, I can do the research myself, but you really need to be prepared to differentiate yourself. Easily have available what differentiates you, your brand, against the competitors in a easy, fun way to read, consumable way. So lots of landing pages against competitors that I'm seeing in North America. So you compare yourself against the competitors. The North America audience likes to consume this type of things. I put an example here where we were trying to reach out to a prospect, and the prospect responded back to us and say, no calls at all. I just don't want to talk to you. I just want to be able to figure it out. What your solution, what's your price, all by myself. I know what I need. I know what type of solutions that make sense for my company. I just want to see what do you have and what is the price. So there is this self-serve, do-it-yourself mentality that I see happening more here versus in Europe, where it's like, prove me the ROI. Can you show me a pitch deck? Can you walk me through it? So quite of a different perspective. The last topic, just for us to wrap up and go to take live questions, is be aware of cultural differences when offering incentives. By incentives, I mean, if you want to offer someone a gift card, a token of appreciation for their time in answering a survey, doing customer interviews, any type of research that you have. So I would say that in North America, have a token of appreciation, a gift card, for example, it's actually expected. So I think everybody here knows the G2 platform, the third-party review platform. We do offer a $30 gift card for customers who provide any review. It doesn't need to be positive. You cannot do that. It has to be for any review, positive or negative feedback. But you're offering a token of appreciation for the customer time to take the effort, the time to actually pause what they're doing to provide you feedback. In Europe, this is a big no-no. You don't give any incentive, any money. It has a very negative connotation and perception. We have, even in Germany, the equivalent of G2. There is another third-party review called OMR, and we have the same type of go-to-market strategy, the same incentive strategy, but we don't offer any monetary incentives because it just has a very negative perception. So understanding your market, understanding your customers, understanding their perception is essential for a successful go-to-market strategy. And with that, I'm gonna close and say thank you so much. Stay in touch with me on LinkedIn, and I'm gonna pass over to David.
Thank you so much, Chris, for that incredible presentation and for sharing so many valuable insights. Unfortunately, LinkedIn, I've heard, had some server issues during the session, and so we weren't able to run the Q&A live as planned. Truly appreciate everyone's patience. Yeah, unfortunately, the StreamYard side seems to be working fine, but it seems to be an issue on LinkedIn servers today. Unfortunately, it's very rare for this to happen. LinkedIn is very reliable normally, and that's why we chose to do this on LinkedIn. But the thing about these virtual events is that something unfortunately always goes wrong. In this case, there was nothing we could do about it. So really appreciate everyone's patience and support. Of course, this was recorded. So we encourage you to revisit the on-demand recording of this LinkedIn Live. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments on the right side, and we'll be monitoring them and we'll come back to answer them. So I know you were ready for some questions, Chris, but hopefully we'll have some for you later from the on-demand recording.
Absolutely. And people can reach out on LinkedIn as well, or to our community. And I'm happy to answer any questions that pops up, either directly with me or with our community. Yeah, no problem at all.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chris, for your understanding as well. Before we wrap up, I just want to thank you, everyone, for joining us for our first webinar, whether you were able to view us live. Hopefully, a few of you were able to view it live. Or if you're watching this on demand, thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed it and took away some actionable insights for your go-to-market efforts. A few quick items. Stay tuned for our next in-person event. The last one was a huge success, so we'll be announcing the next one later this week. Follow our LinkedIn page by scanning these QR codes to stay up to date on our events and other content. And join our Slack community to stay connected with your fellow Toronto area B2B marketers. Get notified when the event registrations open up to make sure you can register early. Venue space is limited because it's an in-person event. And once again, the session was recorded. So if you'd like to revisit it or share it with someone who could benefit from these insights, the on-demand recording will be available right here on LinkedIn. We'll also be generating some clips, some bite-sized clips with insights that we'll be posting on our LinkedIn, and you're free to share those as well. Finally, we love to hear your feedback. So if you have suggestions for future topics or other ideas, drop them in our Slack community or message me directly. And if you'd like to get more involved, let us know in Slack or send me a message. And just a sneak peek at the topic for the next one, it'll be about how marketing drives venture capital and private equity investment in a company at their early growth stage. So stay tuned for more about that event. That'll happen in January, and we'll announce it and open up registrations later this week. Thank you again, everyone, for your time and support. We look forward to seeing you at our next event, whether online or in person. Chris, thank you very much once again. And have a great rest of your day, everyone. And thank you again. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, David.